Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I am your host, Jessie Brown, and I am pumped up to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 88. I recognized in my last episode, I began the introduction by saying we are on episode 88, so a little glitch on my end. I messed up the numbers of the dates, so today we are officially on number 88, so I apologize if that caused any confusion. But for today, I am super excited because today's episode is really just a last hurrah to talk about 2022. And so as I was sitting here a couple days ago doing some reflection for myself on the past year, I came across some questions in my mind that were surfacing. And I was like, why don't I make an episode about this? And why don't I share this? Because through that brainstorming session, I really get a lot of truths for myself and a lot of new awareness. And I think that as we embark on a new year, we're so excited to just flush out the old and to jump into the new. But it's so important that we take time to acknowledge that time, our learnings, our experiences, the pain, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the above, because that is how we're able to learn and shift to make a different outcome for ourselves. If we're just rolling over the years like nothing's happened in between and we're not taking time to reflect, and again, I think we should reflect more often than just once a year. However, I do think it's especially important as we transition into a new year to just acknowledge for ourselves, to just stop for a minute, to pivot, to ask ourselves some reflective questions, to get to know ourselves better so we can make the next year even better and that much more powerful. And so for today, for number 88, we are going to be chatting about 7 powerful questions to reflect on about 2022 to hopefully allow for more clarity in 2023. And so without further ado, we're going to dive right in. We're not wasting any time here. So the first thing that I want you to ask yourself, if you're feeling pulled, and I just want to side note, I encourage you to sit down maybe with a pen and paper if you're not driving or at the gym or doing anything. When you get a chance, I encourage you to seriously write these questions down and take some time to brainstorm on them, because I am going to be going through them fairly quickly. And honestly, this took me probably 2 hours to answer all these questions for myself. And so know that it's okay to just take the time to reflect. It's actually kind of fun to just sit there and reflect for yourself. So without further ado, here we go. Number 1, what comes to mind when you think of 2022 and why? What surfaces for you? When I say the word 2022, what is the first thing that pops into your mind? This question honestly says a lot about how you're feeling about the last year. Notice the word that comes to mind. Notice the memories that surround it. Notice, is it a positive memory? Is it a negative thing? How does it make you feel? Are you still stuck there? Will it hold you back in 2023? Awareness is so huge. It's challenging to fully start a new chapter if you're living in the past. And so if me even saying the word 2022 is bringing up blocks for you, it's bringing up frustration, it's bringing up sadness, it's bringing up whatever, it's so important that we validate that for ourselves so that we're not prolonging that into the new year. So we're not bringing that with us. And it's okay if to some extent we need to bring stuff with us to heal that. However, noticing, is there anything that I feel like I'm ready to let go of? Was there anything amazing about 2022 that I want to continue on in 2023? And so that's the first question. What comes to mind when you think of 2022 and why? And this question was honestly one of my longest answers because I thought it would just be one word. And then when you throw in that why after, it just, all this stuff comes up and all this stuff trickles out of it, and you can really get some deep answers. And as you have an answer, if you ask why again and then get another answer and ask why again, you can really get deep with yourself and get to know what's behind the context of that one word that might have surfaced. My next question for you all is, do you feel you lived in alignment in 2022? What a powerful question. Do I feel like I lived in alignment? Something we don't really want to answer for ourselves. In case the answer is no, we're like, oh, I don't want to answer that because I might get some hard truths I don't want to know. And that is the whole point of this, is it's confidential with yourself. If you want to do it with friends, with your partner, with your family, that's amazing. That's great. I encourage you to all do that. But I also encourage you to do it in a way that you can be honest with yourself. Because it's through asking ourselves hard questions and getting hard truths that we're able to shift and pivot. And so we're able to carry out our life differently and to live the most in alignment as possible. Because again, awareness is huge. Be honest with yourself. If you feel that you didn't live in alignment with yourself in 2022, I encourage you to reflect on the persons, places, things, and ideas that you feel maybe weren't in alignment. Maybe make a list for yourself of the things that, you kind of want to step away from. Do it slowly. Give yourself, the permission to know that it's okay. We're all so worthy to live a life in alignment. And sometimes that means saying goodbye and releasing old places, persons, things, and ideas. And that's okay. That is how we evolve as humans. That is how we grow. That is how we adapt. That is how we meet new people, get new experiences, get new awareness. It's actually a beautiful thing. And it sounds very boring to just stay doing the same thing our whole life, even though that's what we're wired to do because that's comfortable and that's predictable for our minds. But asking yourself if you're living in alignment is such a powerful question. And I kind of came up with a framework this morning when I was brainstorming for today's episode. And basically what I kept coming back to is when we're not living in alignment, it leads us to have lack of clarity, right? Because if we're not living in alignment, we're not going to have clarity of what it is that we want. And with lack of clarity, that's going to increase our uncertainty, right? It's going to increase anxiety, increase, unsureness, of just confusion of where to go next. And when we're living in that state of uncertainty, we're likely not going to take action, because why would we take action around something we don't have clarity on? And then through not taking action, we're not building our belief. We're actually lowering it because we're not doing things to build it. And by having lower belief, we're still going to stay not in alignment. So the circle continues, right? And so the only way in which we can begin to shift this is to live more in alignment, is to do things that we feel are best for us, is to take action. But there's no way to take action if we don't have the belief, and there's no way to have belief if we don't have certainty, and we won't have certainty if we don't have clarity, and we won't have clarity if we're not living in alignment. And so it's really just this big circle. So I encourage you to listen and honor your intuition. If you ask yourself that question and the first answer that comes to mind is no, trust that. Trust that. You might not know the reasons beneath that on the surface level, because that could be a subconscious thought coming up. But if your first instinct is no, I didn't really live super in alignment, that's okay. Validate that with yourself. Be honest with yourself. The only way to get more hurt through that is to not bring awareness to it, realize it, and to take action on it. Living in alignment, it really just allows our intentions and actions to be in symphony with each other. It raises our vibe, which allows us to live a more fulfilled life. I truly believe that the word fulfillment and alignment go hand in hand, because if we're doing the things that we love as much as possible and we're living in alignment, we're going to feel fulfilled. We're going to feel good, because those are the things that our soul wants and needs to do. Okay, number 3, one of my favorite questions in the whole wide world. What was your biggest learning of 2022? What was your biggest aha, your biggest wow? It could be about the world. It could be about yourself. But it's through the good, the bad, the ugly, the messy, all the above, that we learn something. And so no matter how you're feeling about the year, if you're feeling good about it or bad about it, quote unquote, I guarantee you that you learned something. Interesting fact, that's actually pretty crazy, is our mind processes 11 million bits of information per second. Now, a lot of this happens subconsciously. Consciously, though, we process 40 to 50 bits per second in our conscious mind. Think about that. So since I said this, your brain is just constantly downloading information from all aspects of life, all around us, through all of our senses, through our environment. And so you likely learned something in a whole year of time, right? So what was your biggest learning? And this one can take time to ask yourself and to get clear on, and that's okay. Again, don't rush these answers. Come back to it if you need to. If it's causing you to feel overwhelmed, or you're feeling like, you had a crummier year, you had a hard year, that's okay. That's okay to acknowledge that for yourself. We all have some years that are better than others, but don't allow it to control your next year. Allow it to push you in the right direction so you can live the most in alignment and fulfilled in 2023. So that is my third question for you all. What was your biggest learning? Number 4, what are you most proud of? What an amazing, amazing question that honestly, we need to ask ourselves at the end of every day. What am I most proud of myself for today? But largely, if we think about the whole year, what are you most proud of? Maybe you started a business. Maybe you hit a milestone. Maybe you got in a new relationship. Maybe you got out of a relationship. Maybe you bought a house. Maybe you had a baby. Maybe you paid off debt. Maybe you started school. Maybe you decided to just focus on yourself instead of everybody else. Maybe you read a book. Maybe, like, whatever it is, what are you most proud of? Everyone's answer is going to be so uniquely different. And that's so beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, because we all have things that are personal to us that we're proud of. Are you taking time to celebrate that, to validate that for yourself? We do so many things in the run of a year, and it can all begin to just mush together and we can forget. But what's one thing that sticks out that you can be proud of in 2022? What a beautiful question. Okay, and my last and final question for you all to really ask yourself to contemplate on the last year is, what do you want to be different in 2023 based on your awareness of 2022? So what would you like about the next year to be different? This can even be one small thing. I think oftentimes when we rush into the new year, we basically want a 180 our life. We want to just change everything, change our nutrition, change our fitness, change our relationship, change our goals, change our career, change our environment, just change everything. We want to change everything. And that can be super, super overwhelming and detrimental, because we'll likely start one thing, and then if we don't finish through, we kind of forget about all the rest of them. And so I want you to kind of start small and build from there. So what's even one small thing that you learned in 2022 that you would like to do different in 2023? Because as we grow older and we get new experiences and level up our awareness and our consciousness, we're operating from a higher state. Think about it. You at 4 years old versus you now are completely different. You would make different decisions. Why is that? Because you have higher awareness. You have more knowledge. You have more experiences. This last year, I guarantee you, you've learned so much, even just through osmosis, that you might even realize that you've learned. Use that to make the next year better. What mistakes did you make that you don't want to make again? What learnings did you stumble on that you want to double and triple down on? Awareness is huge, and asking ourselves questions like this allows us to gear up our future life. How can you shift your life with higher awareness to live differently? Asking yourself where you often feel the most out of alignment is a great place to start. A great way to shift our life is, where do I feel the most unfulfilled, the most sad, the most depressed, the most out of alignment, just the most not you? Start there. That would be my biggest takeaway for that question, because I know it can be a hard place to start and a hard question to ask ourselves. But where do you feel the most like you're not your true self? Is that with a person? Is that at a place? Is that doing something? Is that a thought? Is that a behavior? What is it? And how can you begin to pivot and shift that? So those are all my questions for you all for today. I didn't want to provide too many to cause too much overwhelmingness, but I think through my next couple of episodes, I'm really going to be focusing on awareness, developing your sense of self, developing your sense of higher awareness, getting to know yourself, why getting to know yourself is so important. But I think that before we begin that journey, we really need to reflect on where we're coming from so we know where we're going. And I think that Again, we're all so quick to just want to jump into the next chapter without taking time to slow down and reflect on where it is that we just came from. We often are in that state of just autopilot, right? On to the next, rush, rush, rush. Take time, celebrate, feel the pain, see the learnings, feel the learnings, reflect for yourself. One fun thing that I'm going to start to do this year is writing a letter to myself in a year from now, where I'm at right now, what I'm going for, what my goals are, what I'm hoping to accomplish. So then in a year from now, I can look at that, notice, okay, I did this, this, and this. That wasn't in alignment, so I didn't do that. And then continuing that tradition every single year. I think that's such a beautiful way to just keep a tally on ourselves and to just build that relationship with self, because oftentimes we don't even realize all the growth we've had, all the expansion of our awareness, all the little things we've accomplished. But if we're able to write that personal message to ourselves and to read it in a year, what a beautiful, beautiful thing that we can do. So I truly hope you guys enjoyed today's questions. I hope you take the time to sit down, to be honest with yourself, to get to know yourself from your perspective so that we can make 2023 the best year yet. I truly feel like this year I want to focus more on just healing my past, more focusing largely on the future and living more in the present. I know I want to be more present and I want to work harder towards my goals. And I think that by getting out of the past and focusing more on the present is what's going to allow me to do that. So that is my goal for this next year. I truly would love to hear yours. If you're open to share, I would love to hear them. Never be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. And as always, as I've mentioned, I am offering free 30-minute calls for listeners to come and just chat and get to know each other. I am beginning my training to be a coach. I'm a couple sessions in. I'm just embarking on that new journey. But it's through that, I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want to get to know you. I want to get to know the listeners, what your challenges are, what you're going through, what you're facing, because I truly think it does take a community to support ourselves and to grow optimally. So if that is in alignment for you, I would love to chat, completely free, confidential, just get to know each other. I think it could be a really beautiful thing. So thank you guys so much as always. Happy New Year. I hope you're all having a wonderful week and I look forward to chatting with you next week. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.